We begin today in the Gemara on Daf Gimel, about 8 lines down from the top of the Yamud, where it says, Leime masnisin deloy Rabbi Yosi. This is going back to the Mishnah, where it said, the halacha of Shneimachs and Betalis, 2 people grab onto a talis, each one says Kula Shali, and the halacha is Yachloiku, but first each one of them has to make a shvuah, swear that I have no less than half of this that's mine, and then Yachloiku. Just to remind you another detail, the Gemara said before that the Mishnah was speaking about 2 cases. A case where each one claims that they found it, and another case where each one claims that they bought it. They both paid for it, and each one claims that I had the agreement of the seller that he's selling it to me. So on this the Gemara asks, Leime masnisin deloy Rabbi Yosi. Shall we say that the halacha of our Mishnah does not follow Rabbi Yosi? Rabbi Yosi, because if we would follow Rabbi Yosi, Ha'amar, Rabbi Yosi regarding a different case says, Im kain ma hifsid ramai. What does the thief, or the ramai, the tricker, lose out from this? What's the case Rabbi Yosi speaking about? So Rashi brings from the Gemara and Daf Lamed Zayin. There it speaks about a case where 2 people gave money to someone to hold for them. And they came together. They came together to give this money, but one of them gave $200 and the other one gave $100. Then when they come to pick up their money from this person, each one claims the $200 was mine. So what do you do in this case? So the Tanakama, that Mishnah says, $100 you give to each one of them, because for sure, each one of them gave $100. That third 100, which each one claims that it belongs to him, so there's a suffix. We don't know what to do with it. So that we have to, Yehei Munach, we leave it, Ad Sheyov Eliyahu. Leave it until Eliyahu Navi comes. That's the halacha. On that, Rabbi Yosi comments and says, Im kei ma hifsid ramai. If you're giving each one of them 100, and it's only the third 100 that you say you leave and no one gets it, you leave until Eliyahu Navi comes and tells us who it belongs to, so then what does this ramai lose? He takes a chance to say that I'm the one that gave the 200. He's not going to lose anything. If he gave 100, his 100 is getting back. So what does he lose by doing this? Eloi says, in order to take away the motivation of this person to claim such a thing, what we do is let everything stay there until Eliyahu Navi comes, and therefore now this person that gave 100 and claims that he gave 200 will be maida because he wants to get back at least his 100. So there, that's what Rabbi Yosi says over there. So if so, what's the Gemara's question? In our Mishnah, seemingly also there's a case here where you have a ramai. So over here you have 2 people that are grabbing onto this talis, and each one claims that that half is his. So what is if you're going to say give half to him and half to him? So then ma'ifsud ramai. So why over here in our Mishnah are we saying the halacha is yachleiku? Over here the halacha should be like Rabbi Yosi says, Yehei Munach. The entire talis should just sit and wait until Eliyahu Navi comes and will tell us what to do with it. So this says the Gemara, Elamai, so what are you going to say? So it can't be Rabbi Yosi. So Rabbanon, so then what it says in our Mishnah follows Rabbanon's opinion that I just mentioned before, that the 100 you give to each one of them. It's only the third 100 that you put aside until Eliyahu Navi comes. That's what the Rabbanon say. So Akiv and Damri Rabbanon, in that case, what do the Rabbanon say? Hashar, the leftover, meaning that third 100 which they're arguing about. Yehei Munach Hachiyav Eliyahu. That we leave and we wait until Eliyahu Navi comes. If so, the question is, according to the Rabbanon, in our mission we should apply the same thing. Ha'nami kishar damya. Over here, this case that they're arguing about this talis. Each one says chetzi shali or kulishli. That is sorry. Each one says that the entire talis is his. So this entire talis that they're arguing about is like that third $100 that they're arguing about. The 100 and 100, none of them are arguing about. It's the third 100 that they're arguing about. And regarding that third 100, what did the Rabbanan say? Not yachleiku. We don't split it. We just say Yehei Munach, let it stay until Eliyahu Navi comes. So the question is, how does that fit with what Rabbanan paskin there? Over there, the Rabbanan say that you let it stay put until Eliyahu Navi comes. So why in our mission would the Rabbanan say Yachleiku? So our mission doesn't fit with the Rabbanan either. Again, so this Hanami Kishar Domi, this fakey, because this talis here is like that third 100, which is a suffix. Says the Gemara, no. According to the Rabbanan, we can explain the difference. Why there the halacha is Yehei Munach, and over here the halacha is Yachleiku. Hi, Mai. What? Let's see over here. What are you saying here regarding the opinion of the Rabbanan? If you'd want to say that our Mishnah follows the opinion of the Rabbanan, so then I can explain why the Rabbanan say that the halacha in our Mishnah is different. Hasam, over there in that case, by the Pekadoin, the Vadai Hai Mana the Chad Minayahu. This third mana that they're arguing about, it definitely belongs only to one of them. We know that only one of them gave that third mana, meaning $200. So therefore, over there, Rabbanan say you can't split it. Because how would Bezdin split something when we know for a fact that this chalukah, splitting it, is impossible to be true? This is what's called ein hachalukah yichayil liyas emes. It's impossible that half is his and half is his. Only one of them gave that $200. So therefore, over there, Chachamim say you can't split it. You have to leave it until Eliyahu Navi comes. Hacha, in our case, the ikil lemeimed tarvayahu. Over here, there is a possibility that this belongs to both of them. Whether in the case where each one claims that I found it first, it's possible that they actually physically found it first, that they both grabbed onto it first. And regarding the case where each one of them claims that he bought it, it is possible that the seller agreed to sell it to both of them, and therefore he sold half to each one of them. So over here, this chalukah, when the Mishnah says that you divide it, it's possible that it's true. So therefore, so in our case, Chachamim say you can split it with a shvua first, as the Gemara explained before. The point of the shvua, you split it with a shvua. And so the point over here is this chalukah yechayil liyas emes? That's the way the Rishonim put it. Is it a possibility for this to be true, or ein yechayil liyas emes? In our Mishnah, it's possible for it to be true. So why should we just let it sit there until Eliyahu Navi comes? We split it between them. That's according to the Chachamim. On the other hand, though, but if we're going to follow the opinion of Rabbi Yaisi, so now hashte, it's a kal v'chomer. If over there by that case of the pekod, where there's an argument who gave that extra money, in that case, 100, each one of them definitely gave and should be getting back from this shomer here that was holding onto it for them. But nevertheless, Rabbi Yaisi says, that we paskin that let it all stay put until Eliyahu Navi comes in order to motivate the liar to admit. So hacha, the in our case, where it's also possible that this belongs just to one of them and not to the other one. True, the Gemara just said a second ago that it's possible that it belongs to both of them, that they both picked it up at the same time. But it's also possible that it belongs to one of them, that only one of them picked it up. So like Kol Shekain, for sure, Rabbi Yosef should say, over there, you're taking that money that definitely belongs to them, and you're saying, no. Rabbi Yossi is machadish this concept that we leave it in the Bezdin in order to motivate them to be maida. We're taking away something that we know for a fact belongs to them just to get them to be maida. So over here in our case, where there's a possibility that this belongs again, it's a possibility that it belongs to only one of them, that is. It's a possibility it only belongs to one of them, and nevertheless, we should say that we split it between them. Why should we split it between them? In such a case, for sure we shouldn't split it between them. For sure we should say Yehei Munach, that it should stay put in the Bezdin. So the Gemara answers, no, there's another detail here that explains why Rabbi Yossi would agree to what it says in our Mishnah. We can say that in our Mishnah, where the halach is Yachloiku, Rabbi Yossi agrees to this. Why? What's the difference? Hasam, in that case by the Pekod, where each one claims that I gave $200, Vadai Ikir Ramai. There's one person there that's a thief, that's a liar, that is claiming that he gave the 200. He's lying about this. So in that case, Rabbi Yossi says, let it all stay in the Bezdin, Yehei Munach, in order to get one of them, which is the Ramai, to be Maida. However, over here though, in our case of the Mishnah, Mi Yemedeke Ramai, who says that there's anyone that's a Ramai over here? In our case, where each one of them claims that I found it first, it's possible that each one actually thinks that he found it first. So if you have two people that see a Metzia and they both dash to it, to grab onto it first, each one thinks that he grabbed it first. Or the same thing by the Mekach HaMemker. Each one thinks that I'm the one that got an agreement from the seller. He's selling it to me. So in such a case, there is no Ramai. So this is another point the Gemara is saying here. Before, the Gemara was focusing on the point whether Chaluki Yechayil Liyas Emes, whether the actual splitting of this talis, is there a theoretical possibility that this splitting is true, is something that actually happened, that he got half and he got half. Here the Gemara is focusing on something else. Do we have a Vadai Rama here? Is there someone that's lying in our case? And the answer is no, there isn't anybody that's lying in our case. So the whole point of Rabbi Yossi to say Yehei Munach, even regarding money that we know for sure belongs to them, was because there was a Vadai Rama in the story. So we want to motivate him to be Maida. In our case though, Rabbi Yossi is not going to apply that concept because there's no Vadai Rama here. If you remember, we learned yesterday in Rashi, in the Beis Aleph, in the last Rashi, the Rashi says, in the case of the talis, there could also be an example of a Vadai Rama. What would that be? If both of them are claiming that I wove this talis, then there's somebody that's lying here. But the Gemara did not say that. The Gemara said that either each one is claiming that I found it, or each one is claiming that I bought it. In those two cases, there's no Vadei Ramai. Each one actually thinks that he got it first. So therefore, Rabbi Yossi's made there's no reason to say Yehei Munach. Over here, in our case, I could say that they both picked it up together, and therefore there's no reason to make this knas or to say that you have to let it stay over there until the Yonavi comes. Another answer the Gemara says to explain why Rabbi Yossi can fit with our Mishnah, Inami, or I can say Hasam Kanis le Rabbi Yossi le Ramai. Over there, Rabbi Yossi, there's a point of why Rabbi Yossi gives a knas to the Ramai, because this will help. Why? The point is, if you not take away all the money from them and none of them are getting anything, the Ramai is going to show up and say, sorry, I forgot, I made a mistake. It's going to be motivating to be Maida. But over here, in our case, even if there was a Ramai, even if it was that case that I just mentioned, that Rashi says that each one claims that I wove this talis and there is a real Ramai here. But what do you have? If you're going to say that just don't give it to any of them, he's not losing out anything. So how is that going to help? Why should it be Maida? Right. So in other words, by the case of the money we each one gave a pekadon, it's money that he gave as a pekadon from his pocket, and now he's going to be losing if you say Yehei Munach. So this will motivate him to be Maida. Over here, this Ramai comes along and just takes a chance. He says he's going to make a claim that I found it. He's going to make a claim that I bought it. Or he's going to make a claim that he wove this talis. If he's not going to get it, so he didn't have it. He never had it before. He never has it now. He's not losing anything. So saying that I'm going to just say Yehei Munach and I'm not going to give it to him, it's not a motivation for him why not to lie, why to come forward and to be Maida. Why should he be Maida? He's not losing anything either way. He never had it from before either way.
If he wove it or he bought it?
Wow.
He didn't though. No. Oh, but he get to buying it, the Gemara is going to ask right now. Oh, let's see. So the Gemara now says, Tainach Metzia. Says the Gemara, when you get to Metzia, this is taka true. If a person just takes a chance and claims that he found it, so then what does he lose if he doesn't end up getting it? So taking it away from him is not going to motivate him to be Maida. But if a person claims that he bought it, what are you going to say over here? Over here there is a motivation. If you're going to say that we're going to take this talis and we're going to take the money as well, the money that both of them paid for the talis, and we're going to put it all aside. Yehei Munach, Achiyov Elio. And then one of them is going to come forward to be Maida. In that case, you do stand to lose because you paid for it, and you're putting the talis and the money all aside. So how is that a good answer to explain why Rabbi Yossi in our Mishnah would not say Yehei Munach? So therefore, because of this, the Gemara Take says Ela Machvarte. So the better answer is Kedeshana Meikara, like we answered before. That the difference between our Mishnah and and the case that Rabbi Yossi was speaking about is whether there's a Vadei Ramai. By the case of the Pekadon, there's a Vadei Ramai. In our Mishnah, we're speaking about a case where there is no Vadei Ramai, and that's why there's no point to say Yehei Munach. Now the Gemara goes back to another case that was mentioned before here in the Gemara. It says the Gemara like this: Bein l'Rabbanan. Both according to the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yossi, they both hold that in a case where there's a definite liar in the story, so then there's a din of Yehei Munach. You have to put aside the money. The only argument between Rabbanan and Rabbi Yossi was whether you put aside only that money that they're arguing about, or you put aside all of it in order to get him to be Maida. But they both agree that in such a case where there was a Vadei Ramai, you put it all aside. So if so, says the Gemara, Hassam, the case that was mentioned before in Daf Beis Amud Beis. What's the case? The case of the storekeeper that has his book where he writes down who he gives to on credit. So what's that story again? We spoke about it yesterday. Again, quickly, the story of here. The case of the story is when you have a person that owes money to his workers. And he tells the storekeeper that he always gets food from the grocery on credit. Tells the storekeeper, you pay my workers, or you give groceries to my workers, and then I'll pay you back. Write it down in your booklet, and I'll pay you back. What happens? The storekeeper comes and says, I paid your workers, and he has it written in his pincus that he paid his workers. Here, pay me back now. Reimburse me for this that I paid your workers. The workers come along to him the next day and say, we never got a penny from this Chemini. He never paid us. So what do you do in such a case? So over there, the Mishnah says, the Mishnah Masechta Shavua says, Zeh nishba v'noitel. The storekeeper will come and swear that he paid, and he will collect this money from this person. And Zeh nishba v'noitel. And the workers will come and swear that we never got paid, and we'll also get paid. The person's going to have to pay twice now. That's what the Mishnah says. So the question is, my shno, what's the difference over there in that case? The loyam, why don't we say, nafke l'mamayna mi balabayis? This balabayis, he owes the money to one of them. He either owes this money to the storekeeper or he owes the money to the workers. So let's take that money from the balabas, but we can't give it to either one of them. Someone is lying over here. There's a vadei ramya, someone's lying. And this money should be put aside until Eliyahu Hanavi will come. Because in this case, one of them is certainly lying over here. So none of them should end up getting anything. So the Gemara answers like this. Omri, so they said to answer this as follows. Hassam, in that case, where the Chenveni and the Payalim, each one claim that they're owed money now by this Balabas, Hainu Taima, the reason is as follows. The Omri le Chenveni le Balabai. So first of all, the storekeeper. The storekeeper tells the Balabas as follows. Anosh lichuse didochka vidna avdina. I did your shlichus to go and pay this person. You hired me or you asked me to go and pay your workers. I did it for you. Ma yisli gabi sacher. I have nothing to do with these workers. I don't trust them. I never had any dealings with them. I have dealings with you, with the balabas. You hired me to do this. So even if these workers are going to swear to me that they got paid from me, that they did not get paid from me, I'm not going to trust that shvua. It's not a case where I lent them money or I gave them a pekadim where there's some trust that I have to any shvua that they make for me. I have nothing to do with these workers. I never hired them. You hired these workers. I'm just here, a middle guy that you asked me to do you a favor to pay them. So I did that favor and I went ahead and paid them. Atamante, you're the one that trusted these workers and you had such a trust in them. When you told me to pay them, you didn't warn me that when I pay these workers, I better have witnesses that will see that I'm paying them. So therefore, basically, you're the one that got me, the balabas, you're the one that got me involved in this story, and you didn't warn me that these workers are not trustworthy people, and I should make sure to pay them in front of witnesses because they may deny the whole payment. So therefore, he turns back to the balabas and says, I don't know from these workers, I don't want to hear from them. I'm just coming to you, make believe there's no workers here. I took out money from my pocket for your sake, and you caused me to take out money from my pocket, not in front of Adim. You didn't warn me about this, and therefore now, it's you, the balabas is the one, you have to reimburse me for this. That's it.
This could be a lie too.
Again?
This could be
and a chanami, true, but the balabas is the one that trusted the Chenveni. So therefore, this taina that the Chenveni has, the Chenveni says to the balabas, you trusted me, you sent me on a shlichus, and I did what you told me to do, and therefore now you have to pay for me. He's going to have to make a shvua. And a chanami, it could be a lie, and therefore Chachamim did institute that there should be a shvua here. But the balabas, if he swears to back up his claim to the balabas is going to have to pay now. Because the balabas has that relationship with this Chenveni, and he trusts his shvua, and therefore he's going to have to pay him. It's the same thing also now with the workers. The worker that wants to get paid from the balabas says the same exact thing. I don't know who this Chenveni is. I have nothing to do with the Chenveni. Amalei balabai, the worker says to the balabas, Ano avdi avid tegabach. I did a job for you. I don't know this Chenveni. I didn't do a job for the Chenveni. This storekeeper doesn't owe me any money. I don't know him at all. Even if this storekeeper will swear to me that he paid me, I don't trust him. I don't believe him. And his shvua to me is meaningless. I have dealings with you. You're the one that hired me. I did a job for you. You have to pay me. Hilkach. So therefore, in such a case, tarvayu mishtabi. Both of them come individually and they swear to the balabas, and v'shaklim balabais, and they take their payment from the balabas. That's over here in this case. So therefore, in such a case, you can't say Yehei munach hatshayav Eliyahu. Whereas by the case of the Pikadain, it's a little bit different. By the case of the Pikadain, the Gemara later in Daf Lamed Zayin says these two people that gave this Pikadain, they came together. They both had money. They came together to give this Pikadain for this person. One guy 100 and one guy 200. So in this case, all these three people involved there know each other and they're in it together. Because they came together in such a case, we say Yehei munach hatshayav Eliyahu. Okay, the Gemara now starts a whole new inyan. It's going back to the Mishnah, the Shvuah in the Mishnah, but this begins the sugya of Maida b'miktsas. Like the Gemara say, Tani Rab Chiya taught, Mana li biyadcha. A person comes and he wants to collect from his friend. He says, you owe me $100. V'halo imer, and this person denies it all. He says, Ein lecha biyadi klum. I don't owe you a penny. But there are witnesses that testify that half of it you do owe. You paid half, but half of it you do owe. So, sorry, let me just clarify. The Edom are not testifying regarding the other half. They just are. They're testifying regarding one half that half he did not pay it. So in such a case, those 50 zuz that the Edom testify that you owe, so you have to pay. V'yishava alashar. Regarding the other 50 zuz that you deny and say that you paid already, so that you're going to have to swear that you don't owe it. That's not the point that he's saying over here is that this is similar to Maida b'miktsas. Shaloi tehei haidoas piv gedoyle mahadoas Edom. The case where Edom are testifying that you still owe half should not be any different than the case where a person is Maida, when a person admits himself that he still owes half. So the halacha of Maida b'miktsas is, as Rashi brings, is learned from the pasuk where it says, Yemer olav ki hu zeh. From there you learn when someone asks of him or demands of him that you owe $100, and the person denies half of it and he's maida to half, so then there's a shvur. You have to swear on that half that you deny, and the half that you maida you pay. Similar over here, in this case, the person is denying the entire thing. But Edom are testifying that he owes half. So the fact that Edom are testifying that you owe half, that should be no less than the fact that you yourself admitted that you owe half, where there's a shvur. In this case, where instead of you admitting it, Edom are saying so, the same shvur should apply as well. The power of the words of the Edom is definitely no less than the power of the fact that you yourself was made that's machayev you a shvur.
It's him against Edom, he says he owes
Again?
nothing. It's him against the Edom, he says he owes nothing.
Yeah, okay. Chanami. Okay, but no, the Edom are not saying though, of course, so that's why the 50 he pays. Because this what he's saying is against Edom. So that 50 he has to pay. The other 50 though, that he's denying, the Edom don't say anything about that. The Edom don't know anything about that. So regarding that other 50, he's gonna have to make a shvur. Says the Gemara, Vitana Tuna. Now seemingly the Tana from Mishnah taught this halacha that you have to make a shvur in such a case where Edom are testifying that you owe half. And the Gemara shows how this could be the explanation for the shvur in our Mishnah, by the case of Shnai Meichs and Betalis. Shnai Meichs and Betalis, in this case when the two people are grabbing onto this talis. Each one of them claims that he found half of the talis. Or sorry, each one claims that he found it first, and each one claims that the whole entire thing is his. So what does the Mishnah say? That each one of them has to swear before they can get half of it. What's the pshat in this? Why are they swearing? One of the things that we discussed already before in the Gemara is what's the point of the shvuah over here? Why don't you just divide it? So here the Gemara suggests to say that maybe this is a shvuah min ha-Torah, similar to this halacha that Rab Chia said when you have Edom that are testifying that you do owe 50%. Where is there over here Edom in our Mishnah? So the Gemara explains, v'hahacha in our Mishnah, kivin the toughest. The case over here is that each one of them is grabbing onto the talis. Anan sahadi, the maida toughest haidi deyu, or maida toughest haidi deyu. Grabbing onto something is like witnesses. When you have something in your hands, what does that show? That means that it's yours. That's a raya that it's yours. Otherwise, what is it doing in your hands? So the very fact that you're holding on to something, this is the halacha always by metaltlin, the very fact that something is in your hands is in itself a raya, like Edom, as if Edom are telling this to us, that this belongs to you. So each one of them is grabbing onto the talis. So we have Edom that say that half of this belongs to you. So therefore this person says, it's all mine. But then you have Edom that say, no, half of it belongs to the other person, because the other person is holding on to it. So therefore, this is similar to a case where a person says, he denies the whole thing, he says, it's all mine, and there's Edom that say that, no, half of it belongs to the other person, because the other person is holding on to it. And what does it say in our Mishnah? V'katani, the Mishnah says, Yishava, that you have to swear. So therefore the Gemara wants to explain that the shvuah in our Mishnah is the shvuah of Maida b'miktsas. There's no actual Maida b'miktsas, but the fact that each one is grabbing onto it is equivalent to Edom. So therefore it's like you have Edom here saying that half belongs to the other person, and you're denying it all, you're saying no, it all belongs to me. Therefore you have to swear in our Mishnah. So our Mishnah is a source to what Rab Chia said. Okay, the Gemara is going to come back to this raya of the Mishnah. Eventually the Gemara is going to refute this raya from the Mishnah. We'll see later. But meanwhile, the Gemara here explains what was the words that Rab Chia said here. What did Rab Chia mean to say when he said that when a person admits with his own mouth to something, And there the Torah says that there's a shvuah of Maida b'miktzas, this shouldn't be any greater than Hadas Eidim. For sure, if Eidim say that you owe half, for sure you should have to make a shvuah mikal v'chaymer. And you have a kal v'chaymer for this. What the Gemara is addressing over here is, why was it necessary to have this kal v'chaymer? What would be the svara to say that there's any distinction between you being Maida or Eidim testifying that you owe half? There has to be some svara that I would have thought to make a distinction, and therefore Rabchia to have a special kal v'chaymer to show that that's not true. And the Gemara will soon explain what that kal v'chaymer is. Now the point is, shaloi taimar, you shouldn't say hoidas piv hu derami rachmana shvu alei. It's only when a person is maida himself, there is where the Torah says that a person makes a shvu for being maida b'miktzas. And why is that? Because if you understand what the reason and what the basis behind this shvu is, you'll see that there's a svara to say that only applies when a person is maida, not when you have Eidim that testify that he owes half. So what's the reason for the shvuah of Maida b'miktzas? K'derabbe, and this is based on what Rabbe explained regarding the shvuah. Rabbe explains, why does the Torah say when a person admits to half that he has to swear on the part that he's denying? And the question over here is, as Rashi explains, this person is sort of doing a favor. He's coming forward and he's being maida on his own volition to half of this thing. He's a meishav aveda. In such a case, he shouldn't have to swear for this. Nobody demanded anything from him that he should be maida, that brings him to be maida. He's on his own coming and being maida. So in such a case, adarabah, that should be a reason why we should trust this person and why he should not have to make a shvuah. Why does the Torah say a kaifer akail, person that denies the whole thing, minatayr is pater v'shvuah? The maida b'miktzas, seemingly he's better, he's nicer, he's coming and offering to pay half. He has to make a shvuah. Why is that?
He's been surveyed the whole thing. The other guy.
Yeah, anachanami. No, but afal pikein, just the fact that he's being teveya, he has no raya at all. You can just very easily deny the whole thing. He has absolutely no raya whatsoever. And you're coming and you're being maida to have. So why does he have to make a shvuah? So the answer is because chazake eino demeis pana b'fnei bal chayvai. We have the following chazake. When you borrow money from someone, you don't have that chutzpah to go and deny that, no, I didn't borrow a penny from you, I don't owe you anything. Rashi, remember we learned Rashi in Bava Metzia, Rashi says this is specifically regarding a loan. Where this person did you a favor. Two things. Number one, he knows that you're lying. And number two, he did you a favor and you're going to deny all of it in his face. So in a case where the person is kaifer akail, over there, that the very fact that he's denying it all, that itself is a raya that what he's saying is true. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the chutzpah to say it. Right? So over here, this person, this person, if he would have wanted to, he's a liar. And therefore he would have wanted to deny the entire thing. The fact that he didn't deny the whole thing, it's not a sign of him being honest. Not a sign of him being a meishav avei that he's offering to pay half. Rather, mishum deina the is panav. It's because this person doesn't have the chutzpah to deny the entire thing, because he might be a liar, and to say an even bigger lie to deny the entire thing, that's something that's too hard for him. It's too much of a chutzpah for him. So therefore, in such a case, when a person is admitting to part of it, there's a big suspicion that this person is lying, and therefore he has to make a shvuah. The Gemara said, Rabbi went on to say another point, and here, according to Rashi, what Rabbi now is addressing is, so wait a minute, the whole basis of this shvuah over here is because you're suspecting this person of lying. So what's the point of having him swear? If you're suspecting him of lying and stealing, so then the shvuah that he'll make, he'll also swear falsely. Says the Gemara, no. It's not a person that's a liar that denies the loan because he's not interested in paying it all. Really, he would have wanted to have been maida, to admit and pay. The only reason why right now he's not admitting to this is because he's trying to avoid payment right now. He doesn't have the money in his hands right now, so he's trying to delay and avoid the payment right now. So right now he denies it and he's planning on paying later. So he's not a person that we're really suspecting of being a thief, a ganev, a liar. It's someone that we could trust really. So therefore, in order for him not to deny it, and then later he'll just forget to pay the loan. So therefore, the Torah says, Sava, this person thinks to himself, until I'll have money and then I'll pay. So let me just deny part of it for now, and then I'll give myself time, and then later on I'll be maiden. Later on I'll come and pay. The Torah says, no, we can't wait for later. In such a case, he has to swear right now for what he's saying. The fact that you impose on him this shvuah, this will get him to be maida right away because he doesn't want to swear falsely. Right? So therefore, he's going to pay up right away. If he's not going to pay up right away, he may forget about it later. He's not going to pay at all. This is the logic, the explanation that Rabbi said for a Maida b'miktsas. So now based on this, says the Gemara, the last point that we just said does not work by when you have Eidim that are contradicting this person that denied the entire thing. When a person is a Maida b'miktsas, over here you could say that the reason why it was Maida b'miktsas is because he was trying to delay the payment. He's really an honest person, he just doesn't have the money, he's trying to delay the payment. So therefore he should swear to get him, we tell him he would have to swear to get him to pay right now. But over here by Adas Eidim, this person was caught red-handed in a lie. He came and said that I don't owe you anything. And then you have Adas Eidim, the Eidim come and say, no, you do owe 50%. Over here, in such a case, when a person is a kaifer hakayel, over here you don't say this svara of eshtamuti kamishtamet l'chayra. Over here, this svara doesn't apply. Over here, adarab, over here you caught this person that he lied. So therefore, Eimoloi, I would say that in such a case, by the Adas Eidim, there's no reason to have this person swear because we're chayshirim that what he's saying is a lie. Therefore, Kamash Malon, Kavachaimer. Therefore, Rabchia said that there's a Kavachaimer that says that if when a person is Maida b'miktsas with his mouth, with his own Eidah Baldin, then in such a case the Torah says you have to swear. So if you have Eidim that say that you owe half, for sure there's a Kavachaimer that teaches that he does have to pay, or that he does have to make a shvuah. That is. Okay, the Gemara now will explain the Kavachaimer. What is this Kavachaimer? The Rishonim over here point out that it's not so clear to understand what the Gemara is saying because sof, if what the point is trying to say is that there's no point to the Shvuah because this person was caught in a lie through the Eidim, so what's the Kavachaimer going to help me? In the end of the day, by Maida b'miktsas, there's a point to the Shvuah because we're not suspecting him of lying, and over here, when this person denied the entire thing, he's a chashuv that he could be lying. How's the Kavachaimer going to help you? Why should he make a Shvuah? This is a big question that the Rishonim, Taisvis, and the other Rishonim discuss. You're going to have to say that sof, the Kavachaimer teaches you that whole svara that he's a chashuv is not true. It gets complicated, but the point is that there's something over here in the Gemara that's missing here in the explanation, which the Rishonim discussed this. Okay, let's go further, see what is the actual Kavachaimer, that if you see the Torah says, Maida b'miktsas makes a shvuah, definitely by Eidim you have to make a shvuah. Says the Gemara, Ma Kavachaimer, what's the Kavachaimer? Ma piv, if when a person admits with his mouth, Shein mechayev imam, when you admit with your own mouth, that's not mechayev you to pay. But nevertheless, mechayev shvuah, you still have to swear for this. Eidim shemechayev moisei mamain, when Eidim say testimony against someone, that is much stronger because it forces you to pay. Definitely, it should cause you to have to make a shvuah as well. So the Gemara right away asks in this Kavachaimer doesn't begin. When a person admits with his own mouth, he won't have to pay because of this. We know that the klal is when a person admits with his own mouth, it's as strong as 100 edim, and of course if he admits himself, he's going to have to pay. The source for this, according to Rashi, actually is right here from the din of Maida b'miktsas. When the Torah says by Maida b'miktsas that for half you admitted and you have to pay, and the other half you have to make a shvuah. So right here the Torah says that for the half that you admitted, you have to pay. So the Gemara explains what it meant is my mom in knas. What it meant to say is regarding knas. When a person admits to a penalty, the halacha by a knas is, as we learned in Bava Metzia many times, when you made it to a knas, you pater. You learn that from Asher Yashin Lekim, Prat Mashiach Atzma. If you made it yourself, you pater. And therefore we say as follows: if when it comes to your mouth, when you're made it, we see that the power of what a person says is not as strong because it's not mechayiv you to pay a knas. But nevertheless, mechayiv shvuah. When you made it yourself, you have to make a shvuah. Eidim shem mechayiv noisei knas. So Eidim, that when they testify against you, they're stronger. You have to pay the knas. And Eidim shem mechayiv noisei shvuah. Definitely, if Eidim say that you owe half, it should be strong enough that you should have to make the same kind of shvuah like a Maida b'miktsas. Says the Gemara, but no, this is not a good Kavachaimer. Ma'alepiv, I can tell you that you know why when a person is Maida, Torah is mechayiv you to make a shvuah, because when you're Maida with your mouth, there's something there that's stronger than Eidim. Where do you find when a person is Maida that's stronger than Eidim? Shekei mechayiv carbon. When a person is Maida with his own mouth, he's going to have to bring a carbon. Taima be'edim she'ei mechayiv noisei carbon. On the other hand, though, when it comes to Eidim to testify against a person, you don't have to bring a carbon. And what does this refer to? It refers to a carbon chatos. If a person is maida himself and comes and says, I ate chaylev, which is a case where you have to bring a carbon chatos, and he admits with his own mouth, he has to bring a carbon. But if Eidim come and say on a person, we saw that you ate this chaylev, and the person himself denies it, and the person says, no, I did not eat this chaylev, he does not have to bring this carbon. Rashi brings, the pasuk says, Oy hoida elov, He himself has to admit to this. If the Edom testify against him and he contradicts the Edom, he does not have to bring this carbon. So we see over here that the power of a person being made with his own mouth is stronger than Edom. So maybe that's why by with your own mouth there's a shvuah of Bava Metzia, but we can't learn out that by Edom it's the same thing. Says the Gemara, this concept of it regarding the carbon is actually a machlekes. So halak kasha, this is not a question because Rab Chia Rab Meir svirale. Rab Chia holds like Rab Meir, and we learned in the Braisa a machlekes about this. The Amar Rab Meir says, "Edim mechayve noisa carbon mekava chaymer." If when you admit with your own mouth that you are chayve a carbon chatas, you have to bring that carbon. If Edim testify against you, definitely you're going to have to bring the carbon, even if you contradict and disagree or deny what the Edim say. As we learned in the Mishnah, two people come and tell a person, you ate these forbidden fats and you have to bring a carbon chatas. And he denies it, he says, no, I didn't eat this. Rab Meir says, we follow what the Edom say and you have to bring the carbon. The Chachamim say, no, you potter. If the person denies what the Edom said, then we follow what the person says and he's potter. And again, this is all based on this pasuk of a hoida elov. That has to be him, that he admits to this. And if the Edom is saying and he denies it, according to the Chacham, will be potter. So now Rab Meir argues with the Chacham. Rab Meir explains, if we see that when two witnesses testify against a person, they can even bring the person to be chayiv misa. So the two people, Edom, that testify against the person, will we not trust their words that he should have to bring a carbon, even if this person denies what the Edom are saying? So for sure you should trust the Edom against this person's denial. Amrullah, so the Chachamim answer, no, in this case that doesn't work. What in this case, what happens if this person comes and says, you Edom testify that you saw me eating the chaylev? True, I ate these fats, but I still don't have to bring a carbon chatas. Why? Because you don't know what I'm thinking in my mind. I ate this chaylev intentionally. And the carbon chatas is only b'shaykik, so I ate it b'mezes. So therefore, you potter. In such a case, is going to be potter. So therefore, the Chachamim say, when he denies what the Edom said, we can't be mechayiv him a carbon. Really, as I said, the main point here is all revolves around the pasuk of oy hoida elov. That's a machlekes of Chachamim and Rab Meir, whether in such a case you'd be chayiv a carbon when you deny what the Edom said. Okay, so therefore the Gemara says Rab Chia could hold like Rab Meir that says that just like when you're mighty a chayiv a carbon, Edom are also mechayiv you a carbon. So therefore the kavachayim that we said before stands. We don't find any stringency in a person being made more than Edom. So the Gemara says, I'll show you another case where when a person is made with his own mouth, it's more stringent than when Edom testify against a person. Where is that? When a person is made with his own mouth, what happens then? You have to bring a carbon asham. This is another case, not the case of a carbon chatas. This is something we learned many times in the Gemara and Bava Metzia. When a person denies regarding an object that he had in his possession as a pekadon, he denies it, and he steals it for himself, and then later he's maida. What happens when you maida yourself? You have to give back the principal, and you also have to give a carbon asham and a chaimish, and you also have to pay a fifth. Now over there, in that case, only if you're maida with your own mouth, then you pay the carbon asham and the fifth. If Edom testify against you, you don't have to bring the asham or the chaimish. Says the Gemara, no, not according to Rab Meir. Asham hainu carbon. Asham is just another example of a carbon. So therefore, according to Rab Meir, even if Edom testify against you, you will have to bring the carbon asham. It's the same thing. Ella says the Gemara, malapiv, I can show you that there's a stringency when a person is mated with his own mouth that you don't find by Edom. Shekem echayv chaimish. The fifth that you have to pay in that case, it's only if you're mighty yourself. Not if Edom testify against you. So if so, I see that Haidas Piv is stronger than Edom. So you have no Kavachayim to say that if Bava Metzia you make a shvuah, that when Edom testify against you, you should also have to make a shvuah. Says the Gemara, Nehole Kashia, that's not a question, because again, we're following here Rab Meir's opinion. Rab Chia, Rab Meir, Svirale, Rab Chia holds like Rab Meir. Just like when you have Edom testifying against you, so you have to bring that carbon, the kavachaymer that he said before. So same thing regarding a fifth. If Edom say that you stole this for yourself, you're going to have to pay that fifth as well. So therefore, according to Rab Meir, we find no stringency in Haidas Piv when a person is made more than Edom. On the contrary, we find a case where Edom is more stringent than Haidas Piv by the case of Knas. Okay, let's just finish off one more point over here. So the Gemara says, Ella, I can ask you the following question though. Malepiv, when it comes to a person that's made of something with his own mouth, it's more stringent, it's more powerful. Why? The halacha of this being contradicted or the halacha of Eidim Zaymimin does not apply in this case. Meaning, when if you're maited to someone, I owe you $100. Then Eidim come into the Bezdin and say, you don't owe this $100. Or the Eidim come into the Bezdin and say, how could you say that you owe this $100? You were with us in a different place, so you don't owe this money. That's the concept of Zaymimin. You're still going to have to pay. Once you're maida, even if other Eidim contradict this, it doesn't make a difference. You still have to pay. So that shows you how powerful the Haidah of a person's mouth is. On the other hand, Eidim are not as powerful as that. If Eidim testify that someone owes money, and other Eidim contradict it, or other Eidim come and are mazim this and say, you don't have to pay. So therefore the Gemara says, the Kal V'Chaim that Abchia says is problematic. The point of his Kal V'Chaim is to say that Eidim are stronger than when he's maided with his own mouth, but right over here we see that it's not necessarily true. When a person is maided with his own mouth, it's more powerful than Eidim, because when you're maided with your own mouth, you're automatically going to have to pay. There's no Akhosh and Azama against that. By Eidim though, there is Akhosh and Azama against that. Okay, so the Gemara is going to go on over here and try a different interpretation for this Kal V'Chaim.